Welcome to the Tales from Wales podcast, live on Joke Pit. Our guest today is Sianny Thomas. Hello, Sianny, how are you?
Hello, I'm good, thank you. I don't know why I just waved, but there you go.
I think that's a big thing these days, especially on Zoom video and stuff. I think, waving, it's the new hello, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I do dress...
when people say hello... What do you mean? What do you dress like? I think you dress very posh. Your hair looks very posh. Your glasses always are on point.
I'm looking at, trying to do the nice, classy look today. But generally, my dress sense is a children's TV presenter, so it makes sense that I should wave emphatically at the beginning, like I just did.
And throw guns at people. Why not? So you are a Welsh stand-up comedian, Sianny. How's that all going for you?
Yeah, it's going well. I've done a few online gigs. I'm not really going for it online gig wise at the moment. I'm more writing. I'm doing that. You guys will know. It's the old chestnut, and yeah, I'm just taking some time out to write. Basically means I can't be bothered, and I'm staring at a Microsoft Word document.
But have you been posting about it on Facebook? Have you been letting people know you're writing? Because the whole point of writing is not to write, it's to let people know you're writing, as we know,
Yeah, it's important to let people know that that you're making sourdough and making banana bread and things. I have hinted on Twitter that I'm writing because I keep trying to catch the attention of my inspirations, which are Michaela Cole and Rasheen Connerty, just like, I'm gonna write a book. You're my inspiration, and just trying to pretend I'm breezily mentioning them when really I'm like, please reply to me.
Who's Michaela Cole? Am I being really rude and ignorant by not knowing who Michaela Cole is?
No, she's like a whole, the writer of Fleabag, Phoebe Waller-Bridge.
Right.
She's the new Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So she wrote a sitcom called Chewing Gum, which did really well.
Okay.
But she's also written I May Destroy You, which has gone crazy everywhere, including in America.
So people have sort of got into Chewing Gum, and then off the back of that, they've got into her other stuff as well.
Yeah, I May Destroy You has gone crazy. It's a really well-written thing about her real life, based on her real life. It's got loads of themes of consent in it and relationships, and it's bonkers. And she did 191 drafts. So no fun.
Okay.
I'll pick her as a role model. I'm sure that'll be fine.
Well, it's nice when you find out that people don't get things right first time, and they aren't perfect, and it doesn't come easy, and it does take loads of practice, and everyone goes through the same things, Is it any sort of, from doing comedy now, you've been going for how long?
3 years in May, just gone.
Do you find it quite nice when you realise that, it is sort of, people do take its time, it's an ongoing process, and it's not like, you just step on stage and that's it?
Yeah, it's definitely an expensive hobby for a really long time. And I'm glad I got the old day job. But yeah, I would say it is definitely a huge, long process. And the first time I did it, I was only going to try it once, but adrenaline is the drug, isn't it, that we're all addicted to, and approval and all that. And I've shown my recording of my first gig to a couple of people who started out as here's what not to do.
But I think it's important to have that sort of vulnerability and that openness with other people. We were all, the first time we did comedy, we were all rubbish at it, and it's nice to sort of reassure people, I think, that you're not going to step on stage and be Michael McIntyre or Peter Kay or Rasheen Connerty the very first time you do it, But it's a question I often get asked, and I think whilst we don't try and talk about comedy too much when there's a comedian on with us, why did you get into comedy, and what sort of made you want to pick up a microphone? Because you said you wanted to do it just the once. So what was the motivation behind that?
Honestly, growing up, me and my sister had so many different hobbies that we were allowed to try and dump, because my mum's theory is, as long as you're happy, I don't care. So we tried all sorts of things. We tried painting, modelling, panto, amdrams, anything. So
modelling, clay modelling, not walking up and down the lounge with hats on.
This kind of stuff.
We did one fashion show and we quit. And I was not a kid model. I didn't qualify in any way, shape or form for that. So I've grown up with the mentality of I can try anything once and as long as I'm happy, it doesn't matter. And I just honestly, above everything, apart from the encouragement of people to do it, I just wanted to be able to say, hey, I tried stand-up comedy once, and that was it. Like, just as a little thing to talk about. But my manager at work kept saying, you need to do stand-up. Like, you're so funny. And I was like, and like by that point, up until that point, half the time, I was thinking that people were laughing just to get me to shut up. And then I saw a personal trainer, not romantically, I paid for his company. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fine as well. It's 2016 at the time, Sianny. If you want to pay for a man's company, it's absolutely fine, you know.
I'm all for endorsing adult work. Just be safe and be happy. Like my mom said, as long as you're happy, it doesn't matter. So, and he said, you were so funny. You should try doing stand up. And I'm thinking, well, he doesn't want to blow smoke up my ass. I'm paying him for his company. I thought, right, that's an independent opinion there. So I'll try it. And I tried it and it went well. And Steffan was there. And he was one of the people who sent me a lovely message afterwards and gave me my first 10-minute gig in Fandangos. And the adrenaline was bonkers. Like, I'd already done a skydive by that point, and it was worse or better, however you want to put it. I couldn't get to sleep till about 4 a.m.
Yeah.
And just the applause and everything and the approval and the immediate social group, I thought, I have to do this again. And it snowballed from there, really.
You said about sort of, the adrenaline dump, like it is sort of a nighttime activity, and it can be difficult then with being a normal routine. I hate using the word normal. It's almost like a useless word, really, because it doesn't really describe anything at all, because there is no such thing as normal, but, sort of a more sociable or more regular sort of working routine. Comedy doesn't really fit into that. So how do you sort of manage, you said about still working in a day job currently, how do you sort of manage your time and your fatigue and just working around that then? Because, even if you're doing a local gig, that's still 11, maybe even half 11, 12 o'clock finish before you try to put your head on the pillow, Well,
having a couple of invisible illnesses that make me fatigued, Crohn's and MS, just advocating for invisible illness people out there, it has been hard. And my boss, bless him, who's one of my closest friends, he said to me, this was in my first year, and I was saying yes to all the gigs. And I was like, yeah, I'll do 3 this week. Fuck yeah! Oh my god, I'm gonna be so successful because I've done 3 open mics this week. And he was like, you're having a 1-to-1, and he was like, oh, have you done this yet? And I was like, oh, yeah, I am getting to that. And he was like, you seem really tired lately. Like, are you okay? I was like, oh, I've had 3 gigs this week. And he just looked at me like, and I was like, so I thought, right, I'm going to calm down now, and also my overdraft was frowning at me from the other corner. Like, hello, we're not made of money. You're spending 25 quid to get to a gig that's paid you nothing. So I thought, I'm going to calm down. So calm down and did 2 or 3 a month, something like that. And what I found was I did get used to the adrenaline. And I can get by on about 6 hours sleep as long as I catch up eventually at the weekend or a couple of nights. But I found that if you can never predict when a gig goes amazingly, and then the adrenaline, doesn't matter how used you are to it, you will not get to sleep. You want to sleep, and you will not get to sleep. And you go into work the next day full of Greggs and caffeine, just like, oh my god. And you look and seem hungover. So then I would have to tell everyone, oh, I did a gig last night and whoops, I couldn't sleep. I'm not hungover.
But turning it up with the bought coffee, the shop bought coffee is normally a bit of a giveaway that something's up, isn't there? Didn't even have time to make your own coffee this morning. Oh, right, okay. My interest is now peaked, But you said about Greggs, like I defy anyone. Has anybody gone to Greggs and said, do you want a hot drink with that? Like, yeah, go on then. No one has ever said no to that, surely.
Their hot drinks are banging.
I have.
Really, Steph? Oh, yes. Well,
I don't drink hot drinks.
You don't drink hot drinks?
I'll have an odd. I'm an odd one.
That would fit into the not being normal, I suppose.
Anomaly.
But before you carry on, Sianny, like if some people comment, because if anyone's watching live, people can comment and join in. It's sort of Bev said that I tried it because Sianny made me think it was possible, and the first time I tried it, Sianny was there to support me. Love you, girl. I thought that's nice, you know, that in line with what we say and showing that sort of perhaps vulnerability, that it is attainable to do comedy is perhaps important when other people are starting out. So. Obviously, you said you had your first gig, and I gathered it went well from the amount of times you said clapping and applause and cheering and laughing. But I think I met you on your 6th or 7th gig at Neath Comedy Festival, and you was doing really well then. But did your perception of comedy and comedy in Wales specifically, was it sort of different to how it really was, or did you expect anything? Was you completely unaware?
Well, I didn't realize that there was a comedy scene, just because I would just go to work and come home again and do my personal trainer. Oh gosh, this is very telling.
Good choice of words.
I just didn't realize I was very.
That guy sounds amazing.
He's great, very strong. I'll have to warn him that I said that.
What is his name, by the way?
His name's Mike Balsamo, and he's wonderful, salt of the earth kind of guy, not your textbook personal trainer, basically not a creep, just absolutely wonderful and wholesome and loves his family. And his brother, Steve Balsamo, played Jesus in Jesus Christ Superstar.
In the West End or in your school?
The big one.
The big one? Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's like top
the big one. It was a bit London.
Yeah, oh wow, that's pretty impressive. So his brother's not a creep, and he's in Jesus Christ Superstar. That's nice. It's nice to know. Well, Mike, if you're listening or you're watching, hello and thanks for not being a creep.
Well, yeah, exactly. And I didn't really realise there was a scene, really. So I was pleasantly surprised. And then I did Neath Comedy Festival, and I was filming myself at gigs because that's what the book said. Zen and Zen and the Art of Stand-Up, which is our little Bible, I guess. And I remember I can see the footage now where I'm constantly playing with the bloody microphone wire and looking down, and my hair's down, so I keep doing this instead of, because I think, oh, don't touch your hair, don't fiddle, because I read don't fiddle, but instead I was doing this, which was actually much more distracting. And I remember Beck Hill was there, and she laughed really loud at my when I Trump I build a wall joke, and I was like, someone who's been on telly laughed at my joke. So it's really nice, really pleasantly surprised at how much comedy was in South Wales, and the fact that I've spent the last 3 years not really travelling outside South Wales that much for a gig.
So what's the reason for that then? If you haven't been travelling too much, like you live in sort of mid-West Wales or East-West Wales, perhaps, down Port Talbot way, not to sort of give you a address way specifically, but so transport links are reasonable, I would say, perhaps down that way. And what's the reasons for not venturing too far? Because pretty much as soon as I could, I was going down to Devon for no money, and I was going to Bristol for no money and stuff. Is it a reason why you've kept it a bit more local?
I went to Devon for no money.
Oh, okay, good.
I sang "This Could Be Devon" for everyone at the beginning of my set because I thought. I sang. I have been to other places, but I quickly realised that at my level, it wasn't really a worthwhile thing to do. It was worthwhile to see how far I could take my Welsh culture jokes to people who aren't that Welsh. But I don't know. I just feel like the whole trajectory in my head, which I've completely dumped now, for many reasons, is that I've got to get a solid 10, then I've got to build up and test jokes until I've got a solid 20, then I've got to start smashing that 20, get that filmed, apply for the middle spot of Glee, get that, then do that. So I just thought I would take any gig I can, and travelling's good and things like that. But I've kind of let go of that trajectory now, and I just quickly realised, I've been to lots of places. I even did a car share to Cornwall. It's just there's no need to travel at my level to get the experience that I need. you know?
Yeah, so why have you said about on the trajectory, like a plan?
It's a long way, though, isn't it?
Well, there's Cornwall and there's Cornwall. I think Ian Bowden is watching. He commented in the comment section, and he lives in Cornwall. I don't know what part of Cornwall, I think, but there's Cornwall and there's Cornwall. You know, there's sort of 3 hours away Cornwall, and there's 5.5 hours away Cornwall as well. So whenever you take a booking in Cornwall, anyone sort of listening who's aspiring comic, always ask where it is in Cornwall as well, because you might end up with a nasty shock when you're driving home or driving there at least.
Yeah, it's like Wales is what, a 4-hour drive long.
Yeah.
You know. Just in case you didn't know what long was, I did that.
Anne-Marie have said that myself and my sister Claire saw you all at Neath Comedy Festival, so I'm assuming that must have been the same show then. I think that's the show where...
I know Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie is lovely.
And I think that's the show where Sean Fisher gave me a tennis ball.
Not Kate. She must have gone out with Kate.
Yeah, she gave me a tennis ball, and I kept it in my car ever since when I travel as like a little bit of a sort of a totem when I'm traveling to gigs to keep me going. Steph?
Thanks, Anne-Marie, for chiming in with that. That was a great gig in Neath. Beck Hill, we were at that gig. Beck Hill is probably one of the nicest people you'll meet.
Yeah, she's lovely.
She's just always so positive, super talented. So Sianny, like on the local scene, who would you say that you I would say look up to? Who do you stand beside to make sure you have a good gig, or like what kind of people do you like gigging with?
I really enjoy Lorna's gig in the Tram Shed because she's so high energy, and her audience are super lovely. And what I like about the Tram Shed room is, for anyone who hasn't been to the Tram Shed and been in this room for comedy, they're all ex-first class flight seats. So the seat is really cool. There's spotlights in the ceiling as opposed to the bloody walls. And when you're doing comedy, because of the spotlights, you can see, I think it's 5 or 6 rows of seats. You can see everyone's face, well lit, and you're not blinded. It's great. It's so surreal because usually you can either see a slightly dark audience or you're blinded and can only see like the first row if you really try hard. And it's so high energy and lovely. I'd say, yeah. And me and Lorna started at the same time. She's smashing it. And it's always a good gig when Lorna's on the line there.
So, like, when you say Lorna, it's Lorna Pritchard. Nice. If anyone is sort of familiar with Welsh comedy, you don't feel like Lorna does a lot with other things further afield as well. So you said you and Lorna started at the same time. So do you sort of see yourself as being sort of like in the same school year of comedy? That sort of way of looking at it, because me and Steph started at the same time, just coincidentally, and that's how we sort of built up our sort of working and friendship relationship. Do you think do you feel a bit like that to you then with Lorna and other people around the same time?
In a platonic friendship way, I love that we started at the same time. I did go through a little patch of comparing my progress to hers, because she has done so well and worked so very hard at it, whereas I have treated it more as my hobby, so I celebrate that she has done like amazingly. So it's more in like a bonding way that I like that we started at the same time rather than and I very quickly stopped comparing myself progress wise. I'm in set 3,
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. I mean, so you're eating the rubbers still.
Yeah.
So like predicted a C as long as you work hard, sort of thing, is it?
Absolutely.
But as we all know, C up to A star, it's all the same really. It's to do pass at the end of the day. It's not important. But Steph, Bev has said that Bev Simmons Owen has said that you're uncharacteristically quiet on a Sunday morning. I apologise to anyone listening. I do talk a lot more than Steffan because Steffan's internet he got a slight delay, so I end up talking in the gaps and sort of taking over from it. So I do apologise, everyone. I don't mean to be rude to Steffan, but Steph.
Hey, you're not being rude at all. It's the internet thing. Bev, I know what you're saying. Usually, I see you in the night time, and I've had about 3 pints by then, so I am a motor mouth. So on a Sunday morning, all I've done today is think I've had a wee, and I've made my girlfriend. So I wouldn't say I'm properly awake yet at 7 minutes to 11. You watch 3 o'clock, lock out.
What did you make for breakfast this morning?
Oh, just bacon, hash browns, and she had this like cream cheese loaf from Aldi's.
Right.
Whereas, like, yeah, I don't know what it is, but it's one of those American things that they charge like £1,000,000 for, and then but it'd come down because nobody was buying it because it was like £3 for a piece of bread. And so yeah, I think she's enjoying herself. I cook for her all the time, but then I'm rubbish at everything else.
No, you are a good cook, though, Steph. You made me some fantastic. You made me some fantastic macaroni and cheese when we had Steve Spears on, and we had a pre-show meal. Yeah, it was like, we didn't share any with Steve, mind. We kept it all ourselves.
Yeah, that's it. Christ, we would have enough for him. Jesus, he's a good boy. But like, he's a rugby boy, and rugby boys eat like hell.
Do you have any sort of particular food routines on any day of the week, Sianny? Like Saturday for me is breakfast day. Saturday is the day where I'll make an effort and cook something or make something nice for breakfast. Do you have any sort of similar routines you follow through the week?
I just want to pick up on, if I can call him by a wrestling name I just thought of, Steffan Stop Motion Evans, because of his Wi-Fi. It's like,
hopefully it doesn't come out too badly on the audio, but I appreciate, it is. We have got to manage it, but I think we do a decent job.
Steffan said that he cooked his girlfriend and then started the description of breakfast as just bacon. There's no such thing as just bacon, Steffan. Bacon is the god tier foods.
So is that your sort of go-to sort of treat breakfast?
Well, I am a fan of... will happily eat the same thing. Like, where you can see my big pot in the background. You pointed the wrong way. There it is.
I can see it just peeping over your right shoulder.
That pot means you're going to eat the same thing for 3 days. And I will rarely eat the same thing for lunch and dinner for 3 days. Like, I'll cook a massive dal. Tonight I'm going to make a corn chili. My go-to, because I've been working from home since the middle of March, my go-to, I have no energy, but I need to eat, is ramen noodles with extra seasoning, like a chef, and toast. And you get your toast,
salt and pepper,
ramen, you chuck it on the toast, and eat it. And then for dinner, because obviously by then my body is crying out for a bit of nutrition, I'll have a carb, so egg noodles, spaghetti or rice with frozen veg mixed in, and some stock and seasoning and stuff like that. Serve it up, bit of white frozen fish, chucked in the microwave, sesame seeds for iron and protein, and that's my go-to then. Sometimes I put a bit of egg in with the rice because I'm quite excited and keep up everything.
Yeah, that's pretty daring, really, isn't it? Stirring some egg into it. I used to live with a girl called Pim, and her mum is Thai, her dad is English, and they got a Thai restaurant in Bath. I should go every half of the go quite. I haven't been, but Pim used to make rice, and she used to stir egg in with the university. And I was like, what are you doing? What are you doing? She's like, I'm making an egg fried rice, and I was like, oh right, yeah, that makes complete absolute sense. Now, what do you have to just put some egg in the rice? And but I was blown away by it. I think maybe my culinary sort of limitations weren't as up to scratch when I was 18, 19 years of age at university. But I don't know if anyone, like people watching who follow or listening or follow you on social media, you seem to be quite a food porn, sort of food poster with your social media, Sianny, sort of food that looks good as well as perhaps tastes good. Do you sort of, is something you're conscious of? Or?
I'm going to start a website called Prawn Hub. And I put my food on there. I like doing. I like calling myself and other Instagrammers out on things. So sometimes I'll take a really, really lovely selfie that I feel good about, and I'll just use the hashtag 10US selfie excuses, because I just think it's funny when girls post a banging selfie and just put an inspirational quote underneath it or something.
Yeah.
But it's the same with food. I will post like pictures of nice food, but then I'll post pictures of dal, which looks like cow dung. It's like a cow pat with rice. or porridge, which just looks appalling, and I put like doing Instagram wrong, and things like that, just because I like to be a bit self-depreciating for myself and others about that whole thing. And I think sometimes, especially living on my own, it kind of pressures you. Social media in a nice way makes you think, well, I'll make my presentation nice because this is a good meal and I want to put it on social media. Whereas usually before the days of social media, I would only bother with presentation if I was cooking for another person.
Yeah, and it's not a thing we had previously. It's not a thing we had previously. Nobody's got photo albums at home of all the best meals they've cooked. No one's got that, but it is a thing we sort of do, and it is nice because I think it's nice sometimes. Like I regularly see what Chris Choppin gets to eat because he likes to post it. And I think it's quite nice, really, because it gives you an insight. But then there's the danger, I think, sometimes of people, stuff about people that you forget they haven't told you. So you can say, you see someone, how was your holiday? How do you know what holidays? Oh, hang on. I think you've got to be careful sometimes, sort of how voyeuristic we are with other people's lives and social media. But and another thing you sort of you said about regarding sort of social media, you're a big fan of memes. I didn't know what a meme was until about 2 years ago, but I've been very much getting into memes. Do you find this sort of a good format for that sort of comedy using social media?
I love memes. I'm the sort of person where when in conversation or when thinking about things, I've got a song for everything and a meme for everything.
Yeah.
So like when I'm with people in the real world, in real life, I'll be like, oh, it's like that meme, innit? But I'm quite new to memes. God, when was it? It was 2014. I had just got divorced, clang, and I called memes memes.
Well, it does. To be honest,
It sounds better, memes.
Yeah, it's a better name for it, really, a meme, because it doesn't really. Does it say me? Me, I suppose makes more sense as well.
It's all me, isn't it?
Yeah. But yes,
yeah, that's what a meme is.
I've heard you say before that you've been divorced, and I sometimes I think I've heard you saying it, and I've mistook. I thought, was she saying as like a passing joke, or have you? I can never quite put my finger on it if it was true or just sort of an off the cuff flippant remark. And so when did you get divorced?
I got married in June 2012, and I was divorced by January 2014.
Oh, okay. But was it like sort of a long relationship?
In and out.
It was. I didn't mean to do a turnstile marriage. And off you go.
Yeah.
I was with him for 8 years. We lived together for 6.5 years. So really good knowledge about each other. But it all just went a bit peaked down after we got married. And
but it's a ridiculous sort of notion that I felt compelled to ask you how long you've been together for any length of time before your marriage or divorce or whatever, just so I could reassure myself that they did have a good run then. That's ridiculous. That's a really ridiculous thing that we do. And also the idea of, we've got to work at the marriage. Why have we got to work at the marriage? Somebody British to give up, is it, and not be miserable all the time? It's like I don't get that. So I respect you 100% for doing that, rather than being 45 or 46 and making the same decision anyway. So I think that's the best way to be. And I always sort of maybe over familiar way make people aware of that when something like that comes up. But I think it sometimes is that sort of feeling of, like I said, asking you how long you were together for, because if that makes any difference whatsoever, So.
Well, it kind of does, doesn't it? Because you think, like, if we've been together, like if I was talking to someone and they got divorced after a year of being married, and then they said that they'd been together 6 months before they got married, I would, like, I try not to judge people, but in my head I'd be like, well, that's why.
Yeah, and we do that.
We do it.
Yeah. Sort of judging people and stuff. I think someone said to me, we moved in together after 4 months. It's like, well, maybe we should have waited a bit long, but then that's judgmental and unfair, really, to do that, isn't it?
Oh, but you two are so sweet, though, because I met your wife in Glee.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, in Cardiff, wasn't it? Yeah, well, it was on a condition. See, I could go to Glee and perform at one of the biggest comedy clubs in the country if I took her for a meal in Cardiff Bay afterwards. So that's why she was there. She wasn't there to see comedy in any way, shape or form. She was there for some food after the show. That's how it works, really. That was sort of her relationship with comedy. It's normally what else can I have afterwards?
She's beautiful, Drew, and so is your other half, Steffan. You lucky duckies. They're very, very pretty girls and really lovely as well.
Oh, thank you. That's nice to see. When Kate doesn't listen,
she's going nowhere, I promise you.
But obviously, you said you sort of live alone, Sianny. Has that been a bit of a blessing or a curse during lockdown?
Well, I do like my own. I'm an introverted extrovert, so if I had those weeks where I was doing 3 gigs, I would urgently need a weekend of alone time to recharge my batteries.
Yeah.
Considering I'm quite bubbly and outgoing and love being around people, I do need time to recharge afterwards. I can't do kids' birthday parties, any of that stuff. So I don't mind having my own space. It was hard shielding. I was shielding from end of March till middle of June. So that was really difficult, knowing that my mum was like 0.6 miles away and I couldn't go and see her, although we'd FaceTime every day. I'm glad I've got my own space. I lived with my mum until January last year. And God, I lived with her for 5 years. She spoiled me. So the time just flew, but I quickly realised I needed my own independence. But I'm definitely glad that I had my own space to do lockdown in, because I think we would have definitely wound each other up otherwise. But yeah, it was fine. I think FaceTiming my family regularly helped. And working from home, having like regular catch-ups with workmates and things like that. Definitely glad I've got my own space, because my dining table that I built myself, built everything myself in this flat, is now my work desk, and I've got 2 shoe boxes and a laptop, and all that stuff.
What are the shoe boxes for? To sort of give yourself different levels of workstation, is it? And
prop it up, yeah.
That's good. That's nice. Upcycling, would that be called upcycling?
Yeah.
You've taken a meager shoebox and elevated it to a desk item, haven't you? A sort of a work item.
Honestly, it's been absolutely fine. And the drug that I'm on for MS is called Tysabri, and I have it via intravenous in hospital every 4 weeks. That helps, because going out and seeing people, and even very briefly being touched by a medical professional while they're doing my arm, I'm just like, stay. And then like they ask you questions like, any symptom changes, or no, any chance you could be pregnant, and I'm like, really? So that helped as well. But everyone on my drug with MS, before we got the shielding letters, my neurologist was like, you're not going to get the shielding letters because you're on a specific immunosuppressant and you're not at risk more than anyone else. So when we all got the letters, they were like, we're not allowed to disagree with that now, so you'd have to shield. But we got the extension letter, so I should technically still be shielding now. But we were told that we are not in that group, so we can kind of ignore it. I've still been very careful, though. Been to Spar twice and Tesco once, the day before yesterday, and I looked like a tourist.
Did it sort of, after shielding all that time, did you become a little bit sort of cautious and apprehensive of being in the outside world and being in public spaces and doing things that we take for granted normally?
Yeah, I got it. Like, even walking to my local shop, just cars going past, I'd be like, oh. And I would refuse to wear headphones because I needed to see what people were around me so that I could avoid them. Yeah, it was definitely a bit nerve-wracking. Even going to Tesco, someone who works at Tesco stood still for more than 2 seconds, so I immediately told them, I haven't been here since the middle of March. And she was like, okay, thank you for telling me. And yeah, it is a bit nerve-wracking, and I do get really finicky about things, you know. So like, I'll go over my mum's and sit in the garden, and I'll fuss my dog George, and I'll be like, well, make sure you rinse him down now after I've left, because he's a contaminant now.
Yeah, he's a carrier. He's a dirty little carrier of COVID. But has lockdown brought down any sort of good habits or bad habits for you as well?
Ooh. Well, there's the whole, I work 8 till 4 now instead of 9 till 5.
Well, that's good. That's a sort of positive change. It seems a lot of people's working lives are changing a little bit, just so things that we don't need to do that. We don't need to have all these meetings and come in at this time and do that. You found that with your job?
I've only needed the printer for printing off personal things.
Yeah.
That's it. I'm doing it again. I saw a meme about that the other day. We don't have printers at home because we always use the work printer or use someone else's work printer. But I think what's quite positive is there's a lot of jobs now that, due to the difficulties, are proven to be workable from home. So people who are on PIP or anything like that, because of their disability or condition, take someone who has a colostomy bag or needs to use a catheter, and so they can't go out into the working world because they have to be at home. Anything like that, or if their disability is so severe that no office could be ideally accessible for them, or they've got anxiety about asking a workplace to make adjustments, jobs will go out now, I hope, and there'll be a note at the top saying workable from home.
Yeah, yeah.
That could be independence.
That could be a huge game changing sort of aspect for people who are a bit less mobile and a bit more sort of required to be in close proximity to their home or staying in a certain sort of area or radius. So I think a lot of positive things have come out of this. You know, it's been a very challenging, difficult time for a lot of people, but I think it's given us all a chance to assess how we live our lives, you know, work-wise, rest-wise, socially, everything, you know, and I think sort of if you can take sort of the positives out of this, it's a good thing, really. Ian Bowden has cleared up for us some geography of Cornwall, in case we were wondering. He says he's in Truro. Takes 90 minutes to get the M5. It's an hour closer than Penzance, and it's not down any serial killer lanes. I'm glad I didn't know there were serial killer lanes in Cornwall, and now I am not looking forward to my next gig down there, getting lost and breaking down possibly. That's nice, but. Have you got any sort of, have we both of you, this is sort of a question for now, have you been looking at your diaries now with bookings and thinking, right, when can I realistically start expecting these bookings to come back now, or have we completely written off 2020 altogether?
After you, Steph.
Next month, I reckon we'll have outdoor gig month. I'm trying to find places now. Got a few up the sleeve.
So I think I've been keeping an eye on the guidance in England, but not Wales as such. I think Wales is a little bit behind. Behind's probably the wrong word, but sort of opening up more slowly, which I think is a good thing. I think Mark Drakeford has done a brilliant job. But I've been looking at England more than Wales. So you think possible outdoor gigs could be on the horizon in Wales, is it?
I reckon you could do small gigs, and you could do like tickets online, bubbles. Obviously, people that live with each other and that kind of stuff come and do, and then have the seats obviously 2 or 3 meters apart. The comedians should bring their own microphone, and then I think no reason why it can't.
So we're outdoor space.
That's the most mature answer I've given to any question.
Well, I had 2 bookings yesterday for August, and I knew I'd be happy when I had my first bookings come back in, but I didn't realize how happy. I did like a little dance in my kitchen because I was so pleased that it was like sort of compulsion that came over me to do a little dance in my kitchen. So it was nice, and I hope it seems to be some positive steps being taken forward for all sort of performances and things like that. So I hope it keeps going, and there's not these sort of false hope given out by things being put in place and then another breakout, another wave, or whatever the term is, and then things get shut down again. You know, I hope that doesn't happen. But is there anything you've learned, or sort of good or bad, through lockdown, Steph?
For me? Oh, I've learned one good thing and one bad thing, right? One, you say I'm a nice guy, but I have been having an affair during lockdown.
Oh, no.
That affair has been... Yeah, that affair has been with a burger van on Newport Road, because I do all the cooking, and now and again I jump on my bike and I go down and have a cheeky burger. And Yeah, I've been because I've no work, skint. I've been doing some painting and decorating, and this is the bad thing. I've never seen so many pubic hairs in cobwebs in my life. I mean, I didn't know they even knew each other.
But how do you know they're pubic hairs then? I'm assuming this is bathroom specific. Is this bathroom specific, or is it all around the house?
I've seen pubes in a kitchen. It's weird. So yeah, like, that'll haunt me till my death. Have you seen any pubes in a kitchen at all?
I haven't. Perhaps I haven't been in enough kitchens. Maybe that's where I'm going wrong here. But no, I haven't seen any pubes in kitchen. But through lockdown, I've been doing like a lot of walking because my wife's been working from home, and it's been quite difficult because we live in like a church, and it's all downstairs is one room is all open plan. So she's been working from home. So just give it a bit of a break for a couple of hours. I've been going out for a couple of walks. I walk most days, and it's something I've learned about. I've learned a few things about the Rhondda where I live. Is there's a lot more Ford Sierras driving around than you'd realise. Still, there's a lot of Ford Sierras still on the roads. No matter where you are, you'll always smell cannabis. At every turn, there's always cannabis in the air somehow. There's never anybody around, but there's always a whiff of cannabis in the air. And there's a lot of men's public urinals, which I'm not sure how I feel about men's public urinals, because they sort of, one is nice because I can go and have a wee when I'm busting for a wee, but there's not sort of a female counterpart nearby, and I think that's quite unfair, really. It's almost like a visual sort of representation of the patriarchy that we're all bound by. But what you will find, though, is there's also quite often somebody would have had a poo in there, which I find very, very bizarre. There's quite an epidemic really going on the Rhondda. I think we need to get to the bottom of it and work out why this is happening. And is it one person? Is it a team of people doing it? I don't know, but it's a bigger problem than I realised. So yeah, that's something I've learned. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about poo, Sianny?
I always want to talk about poo.
Well, you've been left with a choice now between kitchen poobs or poo, haven't you? So I think we've really taken this on a bit of a nosedive for 11:15 on a Sunday morning. But Steph, is there anything else you want to ask?
I would say, like, yeah. When do you see your next gig happening then, Sianny? And like, are you looking forward to it?
I apologies for just ducking and coming back. I switched my extension cable on at the wall, but I didn't switch my laptop on, and it just told me I was at 10% battery.
Oh yes, you need the battery for these streams. It's very draining. So
if anyone saw my eyes wide, and it was 90% panic and 10% jealousy again, because I'd actually successfully blocked out that Drew Taylor has my dream lottery win house. So that's the first thing I'll do. When I win the lottery, it's the first thing I'll do is buy and convert a church.
It's nice, but it's very dark as well. My third of the building is dark at the back. It isn't quiet, but you have to have a light on all the time, so it can be a bit. Well, I suppose that's part of why I want to go for a nice walk as well in the sunshine. But yeah, it is nice and different. But
I mean, as far as gigs go, I'm quite laid back about it, really. I've had a really strange year gig-wise. I took 3 months off gigs last summer because I had a double MS relapse and got formally diagnosed with MS, whereas before that I had something called clinically isolated syndrome, which is a precursor to MS but can stay the same for the rest of your life as well. So I had a really rotten time last summer. I was off my day job for 3 months and didn't gig for 3 months because I just couldn't concentrate, and I was tired and my feet were numb and I couldn't walk very far, and it was just miserable. So I was doing really well before that. I just got a gig where I was hosting a charity night, and it was paid, and I loved it, and I finally learned all my hosting lessons, which Drew actually helped me with a few months before that. And
that was off the back of that gig with Mike, was it, down in the Grange in Cardiff? Okay, cool.
And just to say, it wasn't unsolicited advice. That's what Drew's really good at. He will give you advice. If you ask for it, which I did, he gave me excellent advice, which I really like that. So I just wanted everyone to know that it wasn't like, Sian, just a few tips for you. I was like, I was that kid in school, you know. Tell me how I can be better. So
I'm glad you added that, really, because I didn't even occur to me, you know, that people might think I was giving you some unsolicited mansplaining advice. So yeah, thank you for adding that. Yeah, it was asked for. Sianny did message me, I think, after the gig, my Facebook Messenger, but it was all professional and totally sort of appropriate. You know, it was none of that sort of nonsense that apparently goes on in other parts of the comedy scene. So yeah, thank you for clearing that. It's nice to be sort of. Because you know what it's like, you know, no ambiguity, no ambiguity here, do we?
So I was doing well, and then...
How's the weather with you, Sianny?
Sorry?
How's the weather with you? Is it nice sunny? You got a balcony, haven't you?
It's fine.
Have you got a balcony?
It's fine. I do have a balcony, but I have to be careful not to overheat myself, because heat is a massive trigger for MS and is one of my main triggers. So last summer, I stopped for 3 months, and I was just getting into work where I could go to my gig, eat my dinner in Wetherspoons or similar other pubs are available, do the gig, socialise, get home, and profit. So I actually make money from a gig. So I took the 3 months off. Then I got back into my day job and focused on that, and did my first gig then back... I think January or February, and then of course lockdown happened. So I'm okay. You know, I'm okay. I'm not really worried about gig offers and things like that. I've got plenty of stuff to write up for Sesh, and I've got my book that I'm writing, Sourdough Bread, Yoga, Live, Laugh, Love. So I'm not really worried about gigs. The gig offers tend to come in, and I've always vowed since last summer. It made me reflect on how much energy I'm using, and I'll always do about 2 or 3 gigs a month now, max, anyway. So
do you find that's the right balance for you? Because you've gone from, you sort of mentioned 2 sort of extremes, maybe, of like 3 a week or 3 a month, which, you know, for anyone who's not able to do the maths, it's quite a big difference there. Do you think 3 a month works for you? And in what way does that work for you best then, in terms of sort of what you get from it and what you're able to give to it?
Just keeping my hand in, keeping myself used to it.
Yeah.
Although when I did the first gig for 8 months or whatever in February, I was fine. I didn't go back into any of my old habits or anything like that. I was really confident. It was like, I would say like riding a bike, but I cannot ride a bike.
It's like riding a bike.
But you know, it's fine. I'd say financially, I can spend money on other hobbies. Energy wise, 2 or 3 a month is a relatively low risk of lack of sleep. And I feel like that's a good balance, especially with me focusing more on writing genuinely, you know, sketches and things like that. And this bloody book, she's bloody plugging a book, she hasn't written it yet.
Give us a quick outline of the book.
What's it called?
It's called Wife Coach.
A play on terms of life coach, is it?
Yes.
And what's that about then?
There was another name which someone gave to me, and I'm so sorry, I can't remember who it was, but it was Sex, Hugs and Toilet Rolls, which I absolutely love. But Wife Coach was the name of my Edinburgh show, and that I was working my way up to writing. But I decided to make it a book instead, maybe adapt it into a script someday. If nobody reads it and I've just written it, it'll be a hugely cathartic experience. It's just basically, I think a lot of women will relate to this. All right, you know, everyone will relate to this. But I saw a tweet about this. This girl said that she rescues men until they're ready to find their forever homes.
Right.
And that's me. I've heard time and time again. I've learnt my lesson with you, Sian. And these people have gone on to have hugely successful relationships because through me, they've learnt what acceptable behaviour is in a relationship. And I've heard that time and time again. I've really learnt my lesson with you. And I'm like, that's not what I was here for, but I'm really glad to be here. So I'm writing.
Perennially taking one for the team across the land of Wales, getting men into ship shape before they're ready to finally get it right, perhaps.
And I'm not like daft in the way that I'm not going to write my life in the correct order with the correct names and details. I'm going to change things so they've got the same impact. Change the order, change the names, because I am not getting it. Because anyone can sue anyone, you see.
Well, that's good to know, actually.
You know,
that's good to know that anyone can sue anyone.
I'm not stupid enough nothing will be correct as you read it. You'd have to be a very close friend of mine to know the correct details. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but it's still helpful. I just want to, the thing is with me and comedy is, if anything goes wrong for me, I want people out there who are about to have that wrong thing happen to them or are going through that to feel like, oh, I'm not the only person that goes through this. And that goes for everything, mental health, invisible illnesses, everything. That's why I'm so proud of my Crohn's set. And it went a bit viral with Facebook and stuff, and it's been on TV. Because I think, oh, that's nice, because the thanks I've had after gigs of like, I've got IBS and thank you for talking about Crohn's. There's loads of people now who've seen that and they're like, well, she doesn't look ill and I've got Crohn's too, and that's nice. Yeah. So the whole point is for me that I am writing more, and that doesn't cost me any money, and I can sleep after I've written for an evening. So I'm not. In conclusion, I do eventually arrive back at the point that I was trying to make. I'm not really worried about in-person gigs and things like that. Yeah. I'll just take them when they come along and they're offered quite merrily. I'm just not fussed on the honking instead of laughing thing. On drive-in gigs.
That's that.
Not general gigs.
That is driving gigs, because obviously being Welsh, honking could have several different meanings, couldn't it? So honking is what driving gigs that are being put on, people coming in their cars. Steph, is there anything else you wanted to ask before we wrap up?
I reckon we should all go to gigs from now on, and it's like to new material nights, and when other comedians go, ha. We'll just honk at them, not laugh. That'd be so much easier, wouldn't it? So much easier. So I would say, like, the last question I've got, Sianny, is you had a TV gig this year through BBC Sesh. How did it feel to have you up on BBC One Wales? And did many people get in touch with you saying, "Oh, good girl, you made it onto the television now"?
My friends and family, certainly, yeah. And it was nice. It was a nice feeling to see myself on the TV. And I'm really proud of myself with that. I've always wanted to be on the telly, and I'll like Alan Partridge said, I might put a picture of myself on top of it now. That way, I'll always be on the telly. It was really nice, and I'm very grateful.
So somebody mentioned earlier,
you deserve it, and you're a top person.
Bev mentioned earlier about sort of how perhaps seeing you do comedy give her the confidence to do it, or the impetus to do it. Any advice for any new comedians? I know new comedians are a very broad term, and being 3 years in is still new in the grand scheme of things. But for any sort of very, very new comedians, have you got any advice or any do's or don'ts?
Well, Sarah Bridgman gave me the hot tip about which book to buy, which is Zen and the Art of Stand-Up. It's got a really useful list of things to do before a gig. I recommend that. It's a little bit pricey for a book, but it's so worth it as an initial investment.
28 quid.
If you're not careful, you'll spend a lot more than that in a week on gigs if you go nuts like I did at the beginning. Go nuts gig-wise, I just want to clarify. I would say...
There's actually a copy of that book doing the rounds somewhere in the South Wales comedy scene. I bought it and I gave it to Steffan, and then he gave it to somebody else, and they've given it to somebody else. So if anyone can track that copy down,
James Dunn
has got it. Is he? Oh, well, if anyone wants to read that book, James Dunn has got my copy, and you have to borrow James Dunn when he's done with it.
I would say just think about budgeting right from the beginning, and that goes for your finances. Be honest about your finances. I went through the longest time of refusing to check my bank account until I got paid. Budget your energy. The spoon theory is really useful for this. It was invented for people with chronic illness, but works for anyone venturing in comedy. Take a week. It's usually a daily thing, but if you're a person who is generally well, take a week, look at your week and think, right, I've got 10 spoons of energy for this whole week. And if you've got 3 gigs, you could use 5 spoons per gig, and then suddenly you're in minus 5 spoons of energy for that entire week, and you're knackered. So you need to keep the week after a bit freer so that you can recover from it. So just be honest about your energy and your financial situation, and just make sure that you make friends. I think it's quite easy because we're all approval hungry, kind of needy people. Sorry for saying that, but it is kind of largely true. And just enjoy it, and just be honest about your energy and your budget, and don't expect miracles straight away, and be prepared to learn and ask people for feedback as much as you possibly can, because I've asked for feedback. And I will continue to, and I'm sure in another 3 years I'll see a video of me doing a gig and think, oh my god, I can't believe you did that. Just things like the mic stands in front of you and playing with the wire, and just things like that. Yeah, just be completely honest with yourself at the beginning, and know that it will be an expensive hobby for a length of time. Any length of time, could be short, could be long, because a lot of people, they make it very, very quickly. So yeah, just is that all right? Like, just basically be sensible.
Yeah, I think that's a nice way of putting it, really, because we are all guilty sometimes of maybe overstretching ourselves or feeling obligated to do certain things, or sort of keep up, and going back to the comparison thing with others as well. I think they can be the thief of joy, really, and it shouldn't be about what others are doing. It should always be about what you are doing and what you can do. When your 3 gigs a month is equal to someone else's 13 gigs a month, and that's absolutely fine. That's the best way to approach it, I think. It's a team game in some ways, but it's very much an individual sport. And I think it's important that you sort of focus on what you can do and not what others are doing. And I think that's a nice way of approaching it, really.
And I just want to say, I already said it.
That was nice, wasn't it?
But when I did Steffan's gig in Llandaff, it was my 4th gig, I think, and it was my first 10-minute gig. And Fandango's, oh my god, like the most looked after place ever, because we all got fed, we all got free drinks, and because it was my first 10 and it went well, and it was such, Llandaff is so lovely, and it was so, I got like pretty drunk, and we were all chatting. I think it was me, Ignacio, and the owner of Fandango's. I missed my train, didn't even notice the time. And Steffan, bless his heart, he said that he would wait for me until my next train to Port Talbot. And I'm sure it was more than an hour away. He asked me, he said, well, shall we walk to Cardiff then? And I said, oh, I can't walk that far because of my MS. And he paid for a taxi. We went to wherever was open at 1 o'clock in the morning on a weekday. He bought me a Diet Coke. And he stayed up with me and made sure that I safely made my train. So good egg, Steffan. Good egg. And thank you for doing that all that time ago.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's nice. It's a nice affirmation, I think, to wrap the podcast up with. Well, thank you very much, Sianny, for joining us this morning. It's been lovely. Steffan's gone bright red now, but on the audio that won't matter, will it? And thank you very much. Thank you very much for anyone who's been watching live and commenting. It's always appreciated. Thank you to Joke Pit for putting it together. And we'll see you next time. If you're still around this afternoon, we're chopping in a half hour, I think. So join us then if you want to. But Sianny, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Sianny.
Bye.